The Hasna, the workbook for Hasna was the Hafiz Society of North America. The workbook was written for leadership. This is where it started off. It started off with leadership. Initially, that effort of Hasna, that was for those who were studying the Quran, memorizing the Quran under those circumstances and those conditions, would eventually become leaders. And that's why the workbook initiated the idea of it back then. You're talking, what year? 2000, at least 2011, 2000, yes, that long ago, 2010, 11, because the term Hasna itself was born in 2011, 2012. This is prior to your birth.
I was born 2010.
So you were born a year, so you're a year old. Is that what you're disputing here? Okay. Bear in mind that particular year compared to the years where the root of this entire situation comes from, it goes back a minimum of 40 years. Exactly. So it's just like the one who said to me, he said, guess what, I finished a book and it's bigger than your book. You know what yours truly had to ask? I'm sorry, which one of my books are you referring to? You wrote 4 books, so which one of those are you referring to? This is the question. You understand? So now what happened is that the first workbook was written about the Shahada. What does Shahada mean? Because if a person does not know Shahada and they're not able to present the Shahada in their day-to-day functions, then this is a problem. If you're saying that the Shahada is something in which you uttered once upon a time, or whenever you pray you utter it however you like, and you leave it however you like. In fact, the phrase itself, you don't pronounce it slightly to its perfection, not even slightly. And the proof of that is that you cannot even spell it. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
Oh, my God.
Okay? This is the proof of that, and this is elementary. So, that's why you had to learn about the Shahada, you had to learn about the Salah. Remember the Salah drills that you had back then. Yes? You're just nodding your head like this. Yes?
I remember.
Okay. And also, you know, in the workbook one also you were taught about the Zakah, the Ramadan, you know, you were told about the Hajj, and you were also told about the pillars of faith. You were told about Al-Iman. Al-Iman billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir. You were taught. You know, you were given. That's where you were asked about the malaika. You know, how many malaikas are there and what are malaikas made out of?
5.
Huh?
5.
5 what?
Malaikas.
5 malaikas what? What are you saying about malaika?
You said how much there are.
How much are they?
Yeah.
Really? And you said 5? 5 malaika. Yeah, that's all they are.
There's 5 pillars.
Oh, you're talking about the pillars. You said malaika and you say pillars.
I thought that was the same thing.
No, the pillars of Islam is different from the articles of faith. See? You jump to conclusion. You should be asking, you know, instead of just saying, blurring out something and then trying to say that it is this. You know, this is what the problem is. The lack of, you know, transparency in structure of the social Muslim atmosphere community is the problem. You understand? This is the situation. But Those were in Workbook 1. In Workbook 2, this is where you're taught hadith, the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that either encourages one for the characteristics of a leader, encourages one for the characteristics of a supportive follower, one who is going to assist the leader. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, the hadith that talks about that, for example, the true believer is the one who wants for their brother or sister what they want for themselves. Do you know this hadith?
I
know, right? Yeah.
I forgot it.
So these were hadith that were mentioned, the saying, to get you to reflect. And the best among you is the best one at?
Who teaches the Quran.
The best among you is he who learns the Quran and teaches it.
Oh, I know it in Arabic.
Right? And then there's another saying, the best among you are the best at home. You don't remember that?
Well, you did.
The best among you are the best at home, the best to your families, the best to your neighbors.
I don't remember you said that.
You don't remember this. So you have to listen because it's already, book 2 is already on the YouTube channel. It's already on the Muhammadu Gambia channel. Muhammadu Gambia. So, it has these ahadith and then it has the hifz tactics. How to memorize a good amount, steadily, regularly, ongoingly, to even make you stable and capable mentally, philosophically, spiritually, to retain the Quran, because this is the hardest part. Memorizing it the first time, this thing was explained maybe about 1 page or so. It's not much. Everybody realize that comfortability is something in which you must have when you're memorizing the Quran. If you're not comfortable, you cannot memorize it appropriately and so on. It does not say much more than, get into the most correct and clearest and confident form of reciting and retaining the Holy Quran. You see? But the relationship that you develop with Allah is the most important, the most vital aid for you to memorize, or resource for you to retain. It should not even be said memorize, but retain the Quran. Why are you looking around? You don't believe in Allah or something? What's going on? So what's the problem? I say Allah and you start doing like this to your eyes. I'm reading your eyes, You think it's a question, a mark or something like this? Nod your head like this. You're not ready to say anything.
No.
No what? No, I'm confused.
No teacher.
No teacher what? What are you saying no to?
The thing you just said.
The thing you just said. Oh, you forgot.
I have bad memory.
Bad memory doesn't help the situation. You have bad memory. So you have to get with that. But the military career of the Prophet ﷺ is 1/3 of his prophecy. And that is very, what should we say?
Important.
It's very eye-awakening. That's what it is, to say the least. How often do you hear the Prophet's military career discussed? I've been listening to different khatibs, people giving khutbahs on Friday. And even if they could elaborate on the Prophet ﷺ's military career, they would not be able to do it in the time that is given to them. The 30 minutes is not enough. The 40 minutes is not, 2 khutbahs is not enough. Do you understand the situation?
Yeah, I've been to...
No, you have to say clearly, the military career of the Prophet ﷺ. This is the best military history ever. Serious. Think about it. For 13 years he was, in building a state that lasted for over 800 years. Yeah, exactly. Okay, go ahead. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm calling you out on the Mim Sakin today. Oh. On the Mim Sakin, make sure that your Mim Sakins are clear. And I see already one right here. But go ahead, let's go.
Which surah?
Takweer.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا الشمس كورت وإذا النجوم كدرت وإذا الجبال سيرت وإذا العشار عطلت وإذا الوحوش حشرت وإذا البحار.
Slow down a little bit. Try to pronounce every letter correctly, you know. Don't go too fast. Don't worry about memorizing right off the bat, because memorizing incorrectly is better. It's better to not memorize and memorizing it incorrectly. Okay, you understand? So just pay attention to, every letter, every sound. Like you gave the Pledge of Allegiance sometime to memorize the Quran. You don't remember that, but go ahead. وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ. Okay, go ahead. وَإِذَا النُّفُوسُ زُوِّجَتْ.
وإذا النفوس زوجت وإذا الموءودة سئلت.
It's not سُئِلت.
سئلت. بأي ذنب قتلت.
Okay, what is the rule in this? بأي ذنب. How do you spell ذنب?
Oh, إقلاب.
How do you spell it?
ذال.
ذال.
ميم. Oh, ba. What? Mim sakin. Mim sakin.
Mim sakin? Why is it mim sakin? What mim sakin? Is zambin. That's what it is. Zambin.
Hamza.
If you said it's iqlab, there are only 3 letters in this word. What 3 letters have to be there? There's only.
Al mim sakin.
Huh? What mim sakin? How is it mim sakin?
If it's not a mim. Hamza. Alif.
Okay, let's say for your sake.
Yeah.
Let's say for sake it's mim sakin, right? Let's say for your sake. Let's say you're correct. Let's say it is a dhal and then a mim sakin and then there is a ba, right? So you're still correct that this would be iqlab because you said iqlab earlier, right? But if you are incorrect in spelling this word, then what or where would you be wrong? There are only 3 letters. There are only 3 letters, so only 1 letter could be different. Where would you be different, or where would you differ?
The mim sakin.
The mim sakin. Okay, the mim sakin would be what?
Yeah.
A ya. What is the ya gonna do to it? If it's iqlab, it's still iqlab. You're correct. Everything so far is correct except the spelling. The spelling is where you have the problem.
Alif. Mim wasser.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. You said you did this homework. You said you knew the surah. This is a 3-letter word and you don't know how to spell it? Do you think there's some kind of, when you look into the importance of thoroughness, it does not get any better than this, any thorough than this. You have 3 letters. You have a rule which you very well recognize. This rule has a mim sakin iqlab. The same iqlab applies to what other letter besides mim sakin?
Noon.
Okay, so what would be different now?
The mim is into a noon.
Okay, this is how the word is spelled. And your iqlab would be a little mim on top of the noon sakin. Do you understand? Yes, teacher. No, teacher. You
Yes,
gotta speak
teacher.
up.
Yes, teacher.
So how do you spell ذنب?
Dal, noon, ba.
All right. Continue. بأي ذنب قتلت. What is the rule? How do you sound off, by the way, the iqlab? What is the sound of the iqlab? How does the iqlab? So if you were to describe the iqlab, how would you describe the iqlab?
There's a lot of nasal after the meme.
Yeah, but the iqlab, the little meme, is a sound. It's not a letter. It's for you to sound off a meme sound. This is where you got confused and you actually thought it was a meme. But the actual letter is a ba or a noon.
The reason I was confused is because you say alif saghira, ya saghira. Wow, saghira is letter, so I thought the noon sakin was letter.
The noon sakin is a letter. Okay, maybe you should take a look at it.
بأي ذنب قتلت.
Oh, that's why I asked you about the sound.
ذنب قتلت.
بأي ذنب قتلت. Because afterwards you have, what is the rule of the tanween here?
إخفاء.
Why is it ikhfa?
Because the letter after the tanween is a qaf.
The father. Okay. Okay. So that is correct. Continue.
بأي ذنب قتلت وإذا الصحف نشرت وإذا السماء كشطت
كشطت. This is a kaf. Kaf dhamma.
كشطت وإذا الجنة
وإذا
الجحيم سعرت وإذا الجنة أزلفت علمت نفس ما أحضرت فلا أقسم بالخناس الجوار الكنس والليل إذا عسعس والليل إذا عسعس والصبح إذا تنفس إنه لقول رسول لقول رسول إنه لقول رسول كريم.
This is the second timer, so you have to be careful. This is the second mistake that you got it second time. ذي قوة
ذي قوة عند ذي العرش المكين.
That's a big
عرش المكين.
What is the last word in this? So, is this a qamariya or a shamsiya word?
Huh?
Is it a qamariya or shamsiya word?
What word?
The last word in this ayah?
Oh,
what? What are you saying to? Read the word again. ذي قوة.
ذي قوة عند ذي العرش المكين.
Okay, so you said the last word in this. I hear a qamariya sound.
Yeah, qamariya.
So you said qamariya. So is it a qamariya word? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because.
So say the word again. Let's hear the word. What's the last word? The last word.
Al-Makin.
Brother, you see the fabrication, how people fabricate with the Quran, you know. When they're not sure, they say they know for sure this is the answer.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and their maybe is assurance. It's a guarantee. Their assurance is enough for you to join their qabila, you know, their tribal, you know, means of developing, you know, their little sections. You understand? So you say it's a qamariya word. And why are you saying it's a qamariya word?
Because of the lam is not silent.
What lam?
There's a alif wasr and then a lam.
Yeah.
And then makin.
And spell the rest of the word.
Mim,
Okay.
Hamza,
Mim and Hamza.
then Kaf,
And then a
Ya,
Kaf.
then Nun.
All right. So you said Mim, spelled Makeen.
Oh no, just no Hamza, no Hamza.
No Hamza. Okay, so spell it now. Makeen.
Mim, Kaf, Ya, Nun.
Okay. What would you say if you were to know that this word was not a Qamariya nor a Shamsiya word?
That's what I felt.
That's what you felt.
Yeah, I thought it was Dil Arshi Maki.
Okay.
I was thinking about
What
that.
do you attribute this kind of, uncertainty to? Considering the fact that you actually studied this surah?
I was studying the other surahs mostly.
Okay. These mistakes you have to, these are mistakes you have to make sure they don't occur anywhere else. What are you doing? ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين. And you kept thinking, you kept adding things on. This is the deity perspective. Initially you just said, Qamariya. And then you said, it has to have an alif, it has to have lam. Yeah. And then you made up the last part. At one point you said Mim and then Hamza. Yeah. And then you came back, Makeen. And then, now that's what I thought. See?
I actually thought.
Yeah, I usually thought. You usually need to know how each word is spelled in each surah. Make sure you know where the word starts and where it stops. You want to memorize something and you don't know the words, where they're situated, how they're made up. You don't want to know the order correctly. But most importantly, the specific letters that are there. You said Qamariya, Qamariya. Huh? Say astaghfirullah. Repeat astaghfirullah more, astaghfirullah. We're adding more on here. Astaghfirullah. ذي قوة عند ذي العرش مكين.
ذي قوة
ذي قوة عند. You don't know what is the rule here? ذي قوة عند. What is the rule? Huh?
Izhar.
إظهار. In the word عند, what is the rule there? عند.
The Ifa.
إخفاء. Okay. All right, continue from there.
ذي قوة عند ذي العرش المكين.
See?
ذي العرش مكين. مطاع ثم أمين. وما صاحبكم بمجنون ولقد رآه.
Okay.
ولقد رآه.
Okay, and before that, make sure you mim sakin. Iqlab mim sakin. Just like you did iqlab nun sakin until you can hear a mim. This one is really a mim there. So that's how easy it is. The sound is exactly the same. That's why you couldn't be contradicted on the fact that it could be that spelling, but unfortunately it was not that spelling. This time you have a mim sakin, then a ba comes. What is the rule of the ba coming after the mim sakin? The same as the nun sakin. So make the same sound. You have to combine. You understand? A mim sound, a ba sound, and a nasalizational sound. And spend 2 seconds there. Iqlab, you spend 2 seconds. You don't just go over it like it's an idhar. Go ahead, continue.
Where was I? ولقد رآه
Don't go there. وَمَا صَاحِبُكُم بِمَجْنُونٍ.
وما صاحبكم بمجنون. بمجنون. ولقد رآه بالأفق المبين.
Don't say رآه. را فتحة را.
رآه
ولقد رآه. ولقد رآه
بالأفق المبين.
مبين. Don't put no nasal there.
مبين. وما هو على الغيب بضنين.
Repeat that again.
وما هو على الغيب بضنين.
Don't stretch it too much. وما هو على الغيب بضنين.
وما هو على الغيب بضنين
Hmm.
وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم
وما هو
وما هو بقول شيطان رجيم فأين تذهبون
فأين what?
تذهبون
Say again.
فأين تذهبون
How do you say ta? Did you say ta? فأين ta? Ta. Huh? How do you spell ta? How do you spell ta? Spell ta.
تا
Ta? Ta what? What is on top of the ta? What is on top of the ta? Fatha. So ta fatha is what?
تا
Ta, right? Not ta. This is what I tell you about nasalization.
I was
You do you listen, you stop arguing. Argue. فأين تذهبون
just told.
تذهبون ta. And then ذال. It's a ذال. It's not a dha. Okay, be clear. Go ahead.
فأين تذهبون إن هو إلا ذكر للعالمين لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم
Hey, take your time. لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم.
لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم
What is the rule here? What do you have? What kind of tajweed rule do you have?
It's wrong
Idgham. Why is it idgham?
because of the ya and the tanween.
The ya and the tanween.
No, I mean no, the noon sakin.
Nun sakin. Well, at least you thought about that. So take your time. 2 seconds. It's idgham. Do you know the idgham sound? Tell me about the idgham with ghunna sound. How can you explain that ghunna sound?
There's four.
There are 4 letters that a ghunna sound. What does ghunna mean, by the way?
Nasal.
Okay. So how do you articulate these sounds for those that nasal?
You nasal them.
Okay, you nasal them, and what else do you do? I mean, is that all that you do? Because
You can't like put that.
because iqlab has nasal too.
You
So
can't put the in the tanween or the noon sakin.
isn't that what nasal is? The way you just did that. Nasal, that's a nasal sound. And you just said that 4 of them have nasal sounds. So what are you trying to do now? You're trying to contradict yourself? So you don't know the sound of idgham.
There's 4 letters yanmu.
Okay, yanmu, I know there are 4 letters. Okay, how many letters are idgham first of all?
6.
What are the letters of idgham?
Ya, ra, mim, lam, waw, noon.
Now tell me about the sounds that these letters are going to create, because after all they belong to they only 6 letters out of 28 letters. So tell me what's going on.
I.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Yes. So what are the sounds? What sounds do they produce as a result of them being in this category?
I'm confused.
I asked you earlier about this. An yastaqim, correct? You said that this is an idgham ruling, correct? You said because the ya came after the nun sakin, and it's making it what? Idgham.
Yeah.
Right? Giving it idgham sound. All of that is good and well. All of that is correct. Now, explain what the idgham sound is. What is the idgham sound?
Yastaqim.
An yastaqim is an idgham sound. But explain what is going on with this sound. How is this different from like idhar or ikhfa? Because ikhfa also has nasal. Iqlab has nasal, correct?
It connects like like that.
Okay. So what is that referring to?
Like like ikhfa is like
Okay, let's just focus on idgham because that's what this ruling has to do with. I don't want you to go too far out. I could be here until tomorrow, right? And neither one of us want that to happen. But just explain to me, what is the sound of the idgham? You have 4 that nasal. How about the 2 that don't nasal? What can you tell me about them? What do?
They don't nasal.
They don't nasal. So why aren't they in idhar category? Why aren't they in the clear category? Why aren't they in, since they don't nasal, why aren't they in the clear category, the idhar category?
Because it still doesn't.
You have to have.
It still doesn't have the n sound.
Okay, we already established that when we said they're not nasal. The lam and the ra, they don't nasal, but they still belong to idgham. We already completed that part of it. The question now is, why are they in this category since they don't nasal? We already know that they don't nasal. Why are they in this category? What do they do? The sound of idgham itself, you have to understand what it does. If you don't understand what it does, you're going to be able to identify it and still not be able to articulate it. You won't be able to pronounce it correctly. Okay? The idgham has nasalization, combination of sound. It has a combination of sound. The lam and the ra, they have a combination of sound, no nasalization.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, I can't describe it. Okay, the idhar is an her. That's an example. Then, but if you do like idgham, it's ar.
Okay.
What is it?
When you, the example that you gave for an idgham
It's wrong.
and an example that you gave for idhar is besides the point. The question that you have to remember and know the answer to is the sounds. How is the sound of the idgham, the 2 major minor categories